Can one-year-old units still compete in the meta? The answer is yes, and I'm going to give you solid uses for each of these Holoforms units. We're going to go over builds and teams and sims. It's going to be a lot of fun. First, let me know in the comments, who are you going for? Who are you most excited for in this Holoforms batch? Even if you're not going to form with them, who do you look forward to playing with? Alear's up first, and this is a fascinating unit because this is a speedy Omni tank, and a lot of folks will tell you that these have fallen out of the meta and that you can't use them anymore, and that's actually not the case. We'll go over sims in just a second, but just to boil down this weapon quickly, this is slaying, you get charge, you get a ton of debuffs on the enemy, as well as some speed to yourself. This is a solid weapon. Let's talk about what we can do with it though. So there are two different things you can really look at. One is the Omni tank build, and I think this is the one that most people are going to be looking at, particularly with the Ike emblem ring out. It gives you some new different things you can do. This unit already has AoE and regular damage reduction in the weapon, and you're adding on additional things with godlike reflexes, which is not pierceable, the Ike emblem ring, which is also not pierceable, and buffer, which has some damage reduction as well as some phantom speed effects, which are excellent. The thing you're looking at is how much speed can I cram on this unit, because this unit doesn't have a lot of bulk. Even with all the mythic support, you can see the HP only hits 71 and defense and res of 45 and 34. That looks like a lot, but in today's meta, you really need as much as you can possibly get. The other one we're really looking at here is the AoE, and the reason I like this so much on this unit in particular is because since she gets charged, that's an extra space that she can move, and that's really good for any kind of initiator. But you can see here, 85 attack on this unit is excellent. We are utilizing Valoria to get that extra little oomph. Keep in mind, Pulse Up Blades gives you another cooldown per turn, so if you don't have something like Valoria, you can always wait, and it's very much in that Brave Alm vein that you're looking. Let's take a look at how these units sim though. So let's go in order here, and we'll talk about the Omni tank build first. The thing you need on this unit is piercing, and I tried really hard to get no quarter in there, but she really needs that additional damage reduction. Nukes right now are still pretty crazy. If you're talking about someone that's not Ike, they're going to be able to take down a unit fairly easily as long as they can bunch up the number of attacks they can get on you. So the things that are necessary to get this done are Sather and Camilla. Now keep in mind, instead of Camilla, you could always support with Legendary Alear, and that does just as well, sometimes better. I do like the additional support a Flyer gives though. All in all, you're looking at a ton of speed and some really good results as far as what this unit is doing against these other nukes. The one thing you're going to have to watch out for is Leon. But that's true in most cases. There's always going to be a nuke on the other team that you're going to want to avoid. Even if you're playing with Ike, you want to avoid a green, for instance. The fact that you can take out the rest of these units and still have room to spare is a great sign for Alear, and something that means you can use this unit. Now, it's not going to be as brain dead as Ike, but if you go back and look at my Sharena video, if I can do it with Sharena, you can definitely do it with Alear. This unit is super fast, and that also means that this unit is going to have a good player phase after the fact. It makes cleanup a lot easier. This is a solid build and something you can look at if you want to still use your Alear that you got about a year ago. The AoE build is interesting, and this is probably not something that I would want you to go out and get stuff for this in the Holoforms, but you can kind of prep yourself. Like if you wanted a combination Omni tank plus AoE, you could get, for instance, Pulse Up Blades on this unit and the rest of that be an Omni tank build, and then get Life and Death 4 off of some other unit. That's generally a pretty easy skill to get. But look at the results here. These are probably the most common melee tanks we've got right now. In particular, that Ike. I mean, AoEs are his weak point, but still, you're taking him out easily. You're taking out Edelgard, which is the most common near savior in the game. You can't take out Ephraim, but That Ephraim is not very common, and that does take a plus 10 Ephraim to do it. At plus 1, Alear still wins. This is a solid build for this unit if this is something you want to go for. If you're looking at things you want to be looking at in your particular Hall of Forms builds, this is what I would be going for. I'm not even worried about swords. There are some interesting things you can get there, but Liberation is going to be what you're using almost always. We've got exactly what we were talking about with the Omni Tank build: Godlike Reflexes, Attack Speed Prime 4, Buffer 4, Insight Attack Speed. For all you folks that are disappointed that we didn't have Lagoo's Friend 4 and D Bonus Doubler, I'm here to tell you it wouldn't have mattered on this unit. D Bonus Doubler and Lagoo's Friend work really well for bulky tanks. They don't work as well for speedy tanks. I was really surprised by this. I thought I was going to get different results from that, but it's not a big loss that you weren't able to get those in this Hall of Forms, because Alear probably couldn't have taken a lot of advantage of those anyway, and I like this build better. For the AoEs, we talked about it. Pulse-up blades is the key thing you'd want to be looking for. Physical null follow-up is nice and definitely provides some utility in the piercing category, but it's not something that is just so rare that I would absolutely go after it. Pulse-up blades, however, is on one unit. So Life and Death 4 somewhere else, Pulse-up blades if you want to do the AoE build. The melee nuke is kind of just a miscellaneous grab bag, and this is fun stuff. Potent 4 is not just amazing on this unit, but is a lot of fun. Fatal Smoke 4 is something you could be looking at for taking out units like Ike, but again, if you want to take out Ike, you're probably leaning more towards the AoE build anyway, and that doesn't require Fatal Smoke 4. Bonus Doubler 4 is one of my favorite skills right now, and something you could put on this unit and perhaps have that and a distant counter seal instead. This should come in as a surprise to no one, but I am definitely going for the Omni Tank build. I like having these units to be able to use them on videos and such, and kind of check out how the speediest of Omni Tanks are going. This unit is still one of the fastest units in the game when you look at effective speed, so that's what I'll be looking for, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with this unit. Chloé is a hero that my Discord has been begging me to look at for months now, and I was very surprised. The thing about this unit is she's very unexpected. She's not in a similar mold to a lot of other tanks. It means she can catch other folks by surprise, and there's definitely an advantage to that when someone is not planning on how to take you out. The big thing you want to look at from this weapon is the true damage and the flat damage reduction you get from this unit's res, and this has very high res. There's some interesting skills we can look at though. Let's get into what we're aiming for as far as the team. Wyvern Rift is actually really good on this unit and synergizes with a lot of what they want to do. I was really impressed with that, along with Attack Speed Prime 4 and Attack Res Ploy taking advantage of that sky high res. This is an amazing kit to put together. We're going to look at Sims in just a second. I am really happy with this though. Looking at the SD build, essentially what you're trying to build here is Anna. And I like Anna better, and SD is the kind of mode where you really want the absolute tip top of the meta. You can definitely use this, and if Chloe is your favorite, I say go for this and you're gonna have a lot of fun. Just know that this is everything that Anna does, but not quite as good. The nice thing you can look at doing with Chloe as far as an Omni Tank goes is kind of the hit and sit strategy, where essentially you're sending this unit up and taking out someone like Leon first, and then letting all the other units just ping off of you. It is a valid strategy for a lot of flyers because they have such good movement that it's hard to stop them with other things. So that's something you can look at with this unit, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. You can see I've got her in light season, which makes it easier to get Attack Speed Prime working. Obviously with Asker and with Peony, you've got it covered right there, but Gateau definitely helps. But you can see how this is panning out. Our nukes here, Leon, obviously this is a yellow, but if you got 6 life left, that's obviously a defeat. You've got a green, Ivy, and Sanaki that this unit is doing a very good job taking out. I was really impressed with this. I didn't realize she was going to do that well, but Dreaming Spear and Wyvern Rift go really well together, especially along with that ploy skill. Okay, I've got a couple builds up here, and there are some things I need to talk about before we get there, because there's some similarities here. First off, Arcane Xiang is going to be in the pool that you can actually get of the skills. Get that. I don't know that you're actually going to be using that, but it's available, so you should definitely grab it. As far as the other things, no quarter is probably going to be your special. That's just the way this unit is going to go. Wyvern Rift is probably my favorite B skill, but with that, let's go and talk to the Omni Tank build. So we've got Attack Speed Prime 4, Wyvern Rift, Attack Res Ploy. It's exactly what we've been talking about, and I think all of these skills are worth grabbing from the Holoforms pool. If you're looking at that Summoner Duels build there, I do have Speed Defense Clash 4, and that's basically just trying to stack up survivability as much as you possibly can. Remember, we would probably be trying to use Miracle, and I wanted to bring up that Ruptured Sky was an optional special that you could grab on this unit, so that's why that's there. Guard Bearing 4 is interesting, and I definitely like it on this unit. I like Wyvern Rift better, but there are cases where Guard Bearing 4 will work just fine. Then you have the SD Rain Snap, and the last little piece of this is you're really going to want to inherit an Ivy on there and get that Soaring Echo to get the full Summoner Duels effect out of this unit. The last thing is this grab bag, and this is kind of miscellaneous skills that I really like. If you wanted Flared Sparrow on there, that's excellent. Gambit would just require a higher cooldown special like Aether. Soaring Guidance and Guidance is excellent, and there are a lot of things you could do with this unit, but mainly I like the Omni Tank build best, and you can see that in my recommendation. This is what I like best on this unit. I will say if you have a lot of spare Dimitris and you're ready to give this unit Attack Speed Prime 4, you can look for something else in that A skill. But mostly, I mean, this is kind of what you're getting. You'd rather not have to inherit additional things on a unit after you forma them. We have Céline up next, and healing is a vastly underrated effect that we have right now. If you want to think about these last two Omni Tanks that we've had, they both had maybe 5 HP left after Leon got a hold of them. This unit would help heal that back, and along with other things like if you put in a Mystic Boost Seal, you can get a lot of recovery and it can help you take on other units. That is invaluable, and that's something that you really can't sleep on. Now, do I like Hortensia better? Yes, but Hortensia you have to summon for, whereas this you have a Forma that you can use. The last thing I'll say is that damage reduction is nice, but it's just not absolutely critical for this unit. I have seen this unit as a secondary initiator or possibly even as a secondary tank. There's a lot of utility there, but it's not something that you're just amazingly excited about. It's just a nice to have. So I've got 3 different builds here, and the thing is there are a lot of different support skills you could have on this unit. These are my favorite. As far as the support, you've got Stillwater 4, Defense Res Ploy 3, and Sabotage AR 3, and then Stillwater Special. So basically you're stacking up as much res as possible to get the most out of your Sabotage and your Defense Res Ploy. This is really nice and can help you a ton along with the healing this unit provides. I also needed to mention that that's within 3 spaces, which is huge for this unit, but you can see how we're using this in conjunction with someone like Altina. You debuff the absolute heck out of the enemy, and Altina, if she does take a lot of damage, can then get healed and easily take on the next unit up, because remember, they'll be weaker progressively as they go on. The Ruse bot is kind of self-explanatory, and what I'll say is I have this unit set up in Light Season, but Light Season has Lumera, who is already a Ruse bot. Still, the build would be the same, and this would definitely help someone like Sita. Plus, we don't always get to choose what mythics we get. Sometimes they just won't come home, and sometimes our merges are higher on other units. That's where this unit can come in and really do a lot of good here. The last little piece of this is that Infantry No Follow-Up 4. Understand there is something like Infantry Pulse 4 that you could do as well. Depends on what you're looking for team-wise. Those are both good options, and both of these support builds are good. It just depends on what your needs are. The one on the left is going to be better on things like your slower tanks. The one on the right is definitely going to be better on your speedy tanks. The last one here is just for fun, and if you're thinking about a nuke build, I think this is a great thing you can do with her. Bonus Doubler 4, we talked about it, but just gives you a little bit extra bulk as well as attack. Occultist Strike is, I mean, it's a Cultist Strike, right? We've talked about Pulse Up Blades, and especially in conjunction with Ruptured Sky or something like Flare, you can get a lot of good out of this unit. The Holoforms Forms lines up pretty well on this. On that first support build, what I will say is I probably wouldn't go after Stillwater. I'd probably do Fire Flood Boost 3 or Bonus Doubler 4. Usually it is easier to get Stillwater in some other way, but we have talked about it, and a lot of times you don't want to give extra things to your Formas after you get them, and I completely understand that. The Ruse bot is exactly like we were talking about, with possibly Infantry Pulse 4 in there instead, but still, that's pretty cut and dry. Flare is just going to be the skill you want on this unit. Ruptured Sky is definitely an option, but Flare is excellent. The nuke build is something you've seen a ton, and this kind of switches off to whether you are cavalry and flyer, then you're going to have some kind of flared skill there. But for infantry, Bonus Doubler 4 is excellent, and Occultist Strike is great. Pulse Up Blades to get that extra cooldown, and it's good stuff. My personal target would be that first support build. The thing is, we are getting more and more slow tanks, and I think the meta is shifting that way, and therefore I think that is going to be a valuable thing you can have on these units. Plus, we talked about it, but Lumera is there in the meta, and so there is already a Ruse bot half the time that is available to you. I think I've already poked a ton of fun at Alfred for this self-improver and the defense plus 20 that lit Twitter and Reddit afire with how the game was utterly broken. But there are some things you can do with this unit that's a lot of fun. This was the hardest of the 4 to build, and we're gonna go over it because I'm a little proud of how this turned out. You guys should be pretty familiar with Arcane Shang at this point. It's an excellent weapon. The biggest thing it does, though, is provide special cooldown charge for a cav, which is not something that you get easily. Normally you have to run Heavy Blade, and Heavy Blade checks can be really hard to win. Let's look at builds. Now I just have 2 of them here, and this nuke is the one that is fascinating, and I'm about to show you Sims, and your jaw is going to hit the floor because this is hilarious. Now, this is Arcane Shang, Bonfire, Self-Improver, Potent 4. And Incite Attack Speed. Now, really, you'd like Incite Attack Defense, but we don't have that yet. Still, this unit is going to try to proc Bonfire as many times as it possibly can. If you can get that additional cooldown from Asker there, that means Bonfire is ready to go on that first hit, and you should be able to get it on the 3rd hit as well. With 76 defense, and 83 attack. That hits hard. We'll talk about that. This Ike counter is something that if you are struggling with Ike in Arena Assault, which I don't think a lot of people are yet, but I think after the May Legendary banner that we are going to be having some difficulties with Ike because so many people are going to be summoning with the share between Ike and Marth. Now, if you are having trouble, this build can do it. This build can take down an Ike on Arena Assault, and you can have another counter because God knows I run out of AoEs. Now, what I will say is I've got Assassin Strike up there. I do like Potent 4 better, but there are some advantages to Assassin Strike with that burn damage that you get right off the top. Behold, a use for Alfred. Now, you'll notice this takes all 5 of your other units to support you. That means there's no room for a bonus unit. You also notice that there's no Gale Force here, so I don't know where you're going after you kill these things. But you can kill them, and that's kind of amazing. This is a +1 Alfred who's taking out a supported Ike. Like, that is something right there. Again, having that Potent 4 is excellent. Here you can see I've switched to Astra Season as opposed to Light. I like him better in Light, but I did want to show off that Femortis matchup and the fact that Femortis just gets absolutely smothered. Ephraim was surprisingly close, but again, this unit has a ton of defense. We're looking at a visible 82 on this team. And Edelgard is Edelgard. It wasn't going to happen for this unit. The color advantage was too much, and Edelgard overcame. But still, this is really impressive. Okay, we're down to the skills, and I have to give this warning. This is very, very important. Do not merge this unit into your fodder factory, Alfred. It will mean that you can no longer use that unit as a fodder factory. If that's wrong, let me know in the comments. I will correct it there, but as far as we know, that is the case. And unless they correct the text within the game, then that is what's going to happen. You really want to be able to use your Alfred as a fodder factory, unless this is just your absolute favorite and you want to be able to give him new skills. If that's the case, go, conquer, have fun. Just know that you won't be able to fodder that unit to another unit. That means you also can't pick up skills here to give to your other units. That being said, there's some fun things you can do with just a +0, and we just saw a +1 and they perform very similarly. Now, I've got a number of different lances because we do have some options, and Kumo Naginata with the Brave hit is nice, and Nabata Lance is also good, but both of these are available otherwise. It's something you can pick up, but it's not necessarily something you're going to be using on this unit in its final version. Otherwise, we have No Quarter is definitely the best skill you can inherit, even if you're going to be using Bonfire. No Quarter or Ruptured Sky is a good get. As far as the other things with the nuke build, Flared Sparrow is nice, Potent 4, Inside Attack Speed, and Blade Sections is fantastic on the nuke build. On the Ike counter, just to be different, I've shown Attack Defense Clash up there, which is definitely nice. You're probably going to be using Self-Improver just because it's neat, but hey, it's there. The last thing is kind of a grab bag of different things you can get. This unit is very nice for Gambit 4. Again, lower units with high cooldown, with special acceleration of the weapon. It's something you can get a lot of use out of. We've talked about Fatal Smoke 4. Since Ike is so prevalent in the meta, that's something that you can definitely use here. And I mean, Attack Defense Prime, it's nice on this unit. I like the other two builds better, but hey, that is available to you. As far as my build, I am definitely going for this nuke build. That Potent 4 along with Asker just looks like too much fun. I won't be getting this unit as a Forma for the reasons we just talked about, and it's good to remember that Potent 4 is available to calves. This is a fun thing you can do with this unit. The last thing I want to talk about is the upcoming Formas to make sure you can budget and decide where you want to spend yours. Now, we've been coming up on May for a bit, and this is the Heroes one, and there is some speculation that we might have as many as 3 legendary units. I probably think it's going to be 2, but still, the fact that that's a possibility is kind of nuts. I will say that there are some excellent things you can get on Fjorm, and we'll talk about that when we get there, but Lagoo's Friend 4 is excellent on that unit. June, we have Marth, and Legendary Marth is a better unit than you think he is. He's still very usable, and especially if you have him already merged up, this is a chance to refresh his skills. Our next speculation is all the way in November, and we have Hector and Ellawood. I'll be honest, I would be happy with either of these. Remember, we get a limited number of Formas a year, so make sure you're budgeting appropriately. The last thing I'll say, if you're more interested in what Ike is doing to the meta, I did a whole video on that. Definitely go check that out. Members, you are amazing. Thank you so much for all your support. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.